I'm not sure if I've told you guys if I've shared this. I share so much stuff on this channel, so much stuff about my personal life. I'm not sure if I have shared this before, but my youngest son is type 1 diabetic, and it's been an issue that we've kind of dealt with since he was 9 years old, so like half of his life at this point. I wanted to tell you what happened recently for a few reasons. One, just because it's something I wanted to share about my personal life with you guys. Two, because I wanted to help kind of raise awareness about diabetes and just kind of what people go through when their child has a health issue. And three, to ask for help because of the emergency that happened recently. We are in need of help for my son to make sure that he is safe and protected. So basically what happened was at 9 years old, he was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. He had problems, and I believe it runs in my family, it sounds like, because my daughter has it as well. But he has this type 1 diabetes. He was diagnosed, and he'd had issues, so diagnosed, and then there's a quick learning curve when you become like thrust into that world. My ex-wife and I were both like, wow, like this is a lot to take in, and him as well. Just the realization that you're having that much of your whole life has to change. Basically, it was keeping an eye on sugars and carbs, and using he's insulin dependent, so using insulin to maintain and to keep him alive. And the times where you get too high on blood pressure or blood sugar and have to walk, and different things that would work for him, and times where he would get too low. It was just kind of figuring out what was going to work in life and how, because every individual is different with type 1 or diabetes in general, because every individual is different and how their body uses insulin and all the different components that go into that. There's so much that they can teach you, but there's also a lot of trial and error to figure out what's going to work for each individual. So over the past few years, it's been a lot of learning and a lot of care. In the very beginning, what happened was when blood sugar gets too low, the individual runs the risk of seizures, of coma, death. It's very serious. And at one point, thank God, he had a seizure, I think a couple of years right after we had figured out he was type 1 diabetic. And thankfully, my ex-wife was sharing a room with him at the time. She was in the same room as him. It was during the night when he fell asleep. And she was able to give him this glucagon stuff to be able to bring him, to get his blood sugar stabilized enough while she waited for paramedics to arrive. And thankfully, he made it through that. And things have kind of stabilized over time as years have gone on. We've learned more. He's learned more about himself, and just in caring for him, it's been easier with time to figure out what works and to kind of get him more stable. And he has been fairly stable lately, but through a problem with insurance recently, one thing that he lost the ability to use was these sensors, which were awesome because you would put a sensor on and you'd be able to see your blood sugar at just a glance, instead of having to prick your finger all the time to get the blood sugar, those little test strips that you would have to do, which used to be the norm. So without these blood sensors, he's kind of at risk. And even then, machinery fails, sensors fail. And with something that you're dealing with like diabetes that is so life and death and can be such, just have such devastating repercussions like brain damage and all kinds of things if it's not maintained, it's a scary thing to think about when you think that with modern science, there's a lot of things that we can't do. But anyways, I digress. Going forward in this, thankfully, if you've watched this channel, you know that I've lost a child before, and I think God must be looking out, because I don't think I could manage to lose another child. I don't think I could go through it. I mean, I know that all things are possible with God, and He could. I don't know if I could handle a blow like that. I still haven't recovered from the first loss, and to think of that possibly happening again. We got so close, guys. We got so close just a few days ago. Thankfully, again, somehow, this is why I think God must be looking out, is my ex was sharing a room with him at the same time. He had gone down to visit some friends in North Carolina, and she does a program. My ex does a program. She's, we're all kind of tight on money right now with this, but she does a program where she's able to go and stay at hotels for free, and then writes like a little comment about, how her service was and stuff. It's like a secret shopper for hotels, so that she's able to get, the free hotel room to be able to afford this. They drove down there. He was getting to meet some friends. She was getting to make a little extra on the side. And while they were in the room, again, his blood sugar dropped. He had some massive seizures again. And thankfully, she was there to cover it and make sure. It's crazy to me to think about because, how many people, because I've had seizures as well, if you've watched this channel, how many people have in a family have been affected by seizures so much when neither one, I would have died if somebody wasn't in the room with me at the time. And twice for my son, this happened as well, to where if somebody else wasn't in the room and neither one of us suffers from epilepsy, what are the chances of that? So anyway, thankfully she was in the room. She gave him the glucagon again, and she was able to get paramedics and get him to the hospital and, get him taken care of and then get him stabilized and have everything worked out. But they tested for brain damage, they tested for other things, and at this point they've been letting him run a little bit high on his blood sugar, higher than normal, and it does affect other parts of his body doing this, but as a safety precaution, because his body's been through so much, and he's been just so tired after this. He's been exhausted. He went to work and was wiped out after that, and just having difficulty. There's a lot of recovery after you go through something like that with your body. So he's such an amazing kid. He's such a little trooper, and he's such a wise child. He's always been so wise. Thankfully, I couldn't have asked for a better child to have it, because he's really he's health conscious, and he's very aware, and he's very responsible. Especially, he has been since he was younger, 9 years old even. He's very responsible as far as kids go. So it's really incredible. But at the same time, it's heartbreaking to see your child going through this and wanting the best for them and wanting to keep them safe and protected, and not being able to always. There's the issue with the insurance not covering these sensors right now, and the red tape with that. There's pricking his fingers, but that gets very hard. And there was points I remember after his first seizure where I'd wake up in the middle of the night, and I'd be waking up, barely sleeping, but waking up every 2 hours and trying to get, wake him up and prick his finger to get a reading and to find out if he was okay or not. And to live like that as a parent is extremely hard. And now that he's moved away to Michigan, it's my ex-wife doing that 24/7. She doesn't have my help. I'm in California. She's in Michigan. There's a big burden on her to be able to keep an eye on him while still working and maintaining a life and having a household and all that. So extremely hard thing to deal with right now. Not to mention my son also has cerebral palsy, mild cerebral palsy. So there's a lot going on, but at the same time, he's like this beautiful kid that's just amazing and loves helping the elderly and servicing the community, and is just loving and caring, would give the shirt off his back for anybody. So one thing that we've wanted to do for a long time and haven't been able to because of the cost is to get him what is called it's like a helper dog. It's basically, these dogs are trained to be able, not only to offer emotional support, I suppose, and he loves dogs, so animals, but they have one key ability that's really important, and that's to be able to smell with their great sense of smell and sense if there's a problem with blood sugar going on. So what these dogs are able to do is alert either him by waking him up if he's asleep, or somebody else, like alert them that there's a problem with the blood sugar, so that we're always aware. This dog is always with him, and it's that safety, like that safety net where modern technology fails, yet these dogs don't fail. They have that sense of smell. They're trained to recognize it, and when they do, they alert you. If he's asleep, he's woken up, etc. So without being able to have a sensor, And even though then they're fallible, he's wanted one for years, so we are trying to get a dog for him, a early warning blood sugar detection dog for him, so that we can protect him better and to give that safeguard that it's something that he'll be able to use for many years. The life of that dog, this will be something that he will, always have as that aid to help him to make his life easier and to possibly, and the way it's gone lately, save his life. If I don't know how many of these bullets we can keep dodging where things are going to be okay. And I know that I lose sleep over it at night just thinking about this, and I'm sure everybody involved that loves him and cares about him loses sleep worrying and wondering. And as much as you might try to make sure his blood sugar is okay before sleep or whatever it may be, things happen. The body changes. When he catches a cold, the blood sugar's all over the place. So there's all these variables, yet the dog would be one consistent that would always be able to recognize when there's an issue and always alert somebody, either him or just somebody else, to make sure that we can give him the care he needs. So my ex has created a GoFundMe on behalf of him to try to raise money, because these dogs do cost quite a bit. And as you've known from watching my story, I don't make much of an income. She is on a tight budget. She's been primarily raising our children because I've been sick for 15 years. So resources are limited. But as she created this, I thought, well, what a way to get the word out and to, mention it to people just to see where they're at, than to talk to my YouTube family, who's been so helpful with me in just so many different aspects of my life, with getting a computer and supporting some different needs that I had and helping out that way. So I wanted to put that out to everybody watching this, and also create a link down below. It's down below. It's the page she created. If you guys can do something to help out, as even a small amount to help out to reach this goal, like I said, it would be life-changing. It'd be life-changing for him. It would give his mom and I that comfort of knowing that he has something that's a fail-safe, and just to be able, one more level of protection to make sure this doesn't happen again, because it just happened a few days ago, and we're both on edge, worrying. Now it's fresh in our mind again that this is a real possibility. So I placed that link below. Please, if you feel so led, please contribute. And, there's a story about my son Cole on there, and all the good information, all the details, more details than are mentioned in this video. So please, if you feel so led, donate below. And in advance, I do appreciate it. If anybody donates, I really appreciate it. And I can't thank you enough if you do. That's it. I appreciate all you guys. Please share this message if you can with other people too, and the page. That would really help us out. So that's it for this time, guys. I appreciate you watching, and I appreciate your time. Until next time, guys, God bless.